Yesterday during practice, I observed Baker Mayfield essentially being a defensive lineman and working up against the offensive line. What does that say about his attitude right now? He's the first to come up to PJ when he scored that long touchdown. What does that say about the type of person that he is right now and his role on the team?
I mean, since the day he walked in the door, Baker's been a tremendous teammate. He's a good leader, whether he's been playing, whether he's been nicked up or whether he's been the backup. He's there for everybody else out there. He wants to win, regardless of his role. I'm really impressed with the way he carries himself and, how excited he is for PJ and the opportunity that PJ has.
Has he been, is one of the things where you're telling him to do things, or is he coming up to you and say, hey, whatever you need, I'll do it, or, just going right up and taking charge, and in those situations, oh, you need help, let me do that?
Oh, Baker, he's been tremendous. He wants to do everything he can to help. Sometimes we have dialogues about it. Sometimes he just goes ahead and he's been the guy, so he knows where he can lend a helping hand to PJ and the rest of the offense and even the coaching staff. And he's been tremendous that way. He really has.
And on that quarterback position, you guys are Sam seemingly ready to get activated. What are you going to do in that room with three guys?
Right now we're just taking it one day at a time. Today's Thursday. We're getting ready for the Bengals, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But that starts Coach Wilkes. That'll be his responsibility, not mine.
With regard to the Bengals, they gave up a lot on the ground last game. Is this a chance for you to open up the run game even more this week?
I feel like we're making some progress in the run game. And I like the way the big guys are blocking, with their double teams. We're doing a good job being physical up front and playing with heavy hands like we talk about doing, and playing with effort and finishing and covering the ball. And we just need to be consistent with who we are, That was a division matchup there last week between those two teams, and those are always good to watch and see because, they play each other quite a bit. But we just need to go out there, be ourselves, and be the best version of ourselves and consistent with the way we play.
D'Onta seems to be a guy who is better when he gets multiple carries in a row. Some guys can spot in a snap or two at a time, but he doesn't appear to have been able to do that throughout his career. Why is that?
I think, you had a chance to see him. I think he's a big man who runs physical, and, he gets a feel for the game as the game goes on. I'm not sure that I'm going to say he can't do come in and spot play. But I just think he's a big man, and he's a lot to handle for the opponent, right? You have to be pretty sure, and you have to have the right frame of mind. You want to come in and tackle him. He's just a big, strong runner, and he has great balance too, and that really helps him. And kind of as the game goes on, and as he gets a feel for how our guys up front are matching, and you get him a couple reps at some repeated runs. He seems to do a pretty good job there, getting a feel and knocking a hole in things when it's not there. And reading it out and kind of setting up the big bounces. And he has some surprising speed out there on the edge as well.
Have you noticed from Tampa to Atlanta that defenses are respecting play action a little bit better because of the success that you guys have had on the ground?
It's a two-game, really. Yeah, it's a tight window right there. So usually it takes maybe 4 games or so to get a picture. But when you play, different quarterbacks, things change a little bit. So once we get, 3-4 games on tape, probably even these 2, 3-4 games on tape, that's when you'll get an idea how teams are looking to play. And it's a copycat league. So, Tampa did some things that Atlanta tried, and Atlanta did some things and adjusted, and then we'll probably see some versions of those this week as well.
What is it about Terrace as a receiver, an athlete, a playmaker, that when PJ sees him getting one-on-one coverage, gives you confidence in whatever your call is when the ball goes there?
Yeah, I think Terrace has had a good OTA, right? He had a good off season, right? Then he got nicked up in training camp, and he's a young player, and it took him a while to get back and get healthy. He gets back and he gets healthy, and other people were playing, and he just had to work himself into those opportunities. When he got back and got healthy, I think PJ had a chance to throw to him quite a bit on the look team. So there's a kind of a chemistry right there between those two guys, and that happens, and that's a natural part of the game. And Terrace is a guy, he keeps growing, he keeps getting better, and as he gets more games under his belt, we expect him to take more steps.
What role do you take? You mentioned Baker being a backup now, and Sam's in that role, and I was talking to him yesterday, and he said once he realized he wasn't the starter, he had to get in that mindset of a backup. What role do you play to help Baker and Sam get in that role where they're comfortable with that?
Well, I mean, it's all our responsibilities in the room to get the starter ready to go. And then the mental reps in the room are for everybody else, and the stuff post-practice and an individual and during special teams are for everybody else and the starter. But you have to make sure everybody, you never know what's going to happen in this league, right? So you have to get everybody in the room ready to go. And that's probably one thing that we learned through COVID is the next man up could be anybody who's sitting in there, right? So we got to get everybody ready to go in there. We have a conversation about who's getting the ball that week, who's the backup in the room. But at the same point in time, the backup gets the scout team looks. It doesn't get many plays of ours. That's just the way it goes in this league. And then really outside of PJ, you have to get them all ready to go mentally. And the backup's part of that, but everybody else in the room counts as well.
Steve, let's talk about he's stayed with the offense a lot more since he's been the interim coach. How has having him in the room reinforcing what you're doing helped you?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, Steve, he makes himself available for us, and that's great. And just talking to him early in the week's always fun to get a defensive coach's perspective, especially someone who's as accomplished as Coach Wilkes is, and bouncing ideas off of him and then kind of talking through them. Especially during the walkthroughs about things that we're thinking and how to keep a defense off balance a little bit. So that part's been fun.
How much has Icky grown over these first 8 games?
Yeah, probably early in the season, we wanted to make sure he got his feet wet, and we had some tough matchups early in the season, right? So we went out and we maybe tried to help him a little bit, and he's still a young player, he's still growing, and we're still going to do that, but he's taking strides, and we trust him more and more one-on-one, and just learning the pro game and learning how to be a pro. And he's a conscientious guy. He wants to be a great player, and it's encouraging.
Is he playing? Has this development gone even maybe more quickly than you had thought?
We have high expectations for Icky, from day one, and we don't really. So I don't really think of it that way. We just go get ready for games and get them ready to go play, and try to put them in positions to be successful. And he's taking advantage of the opportunity.
When you think of with the first game that PJ was starting, it was a very kind of conservative game plan to where it was this past weekend. Was that a matter of not throwing too much at him as he gets thrown into that starting role, or is it a matter of you guys saying, hey, he can do this, he can do that, let's do this now?
From day one, I had a lot of trust in PJ. I mean, probably have the most reps out there with PJ, right? Just because he's been here and been available the most out of everybody. But to me, I think different games maybe call for different things and different plans and different opportunities to win. And so we trusted PJ right from the get-go, just like I trust him today, and we're going to go out there and put the best plan together to go take advantage of what we see and try to get a win.
So there was no element of surprise even with him, like, that was better than I expected. You knew the whole time that he was capable of that.
Well, I mean, you watched the film of him in the past. He's been a guy who's had a chance to play a little bit. He's had a productive college career. The guy has some gamer in him, right? And the biggest thing, as long as we go out, we make good decisions, we spread the ball around, go where the read tells us to go with the ball, manage the game the way he's capable of managing the game. There's, it's exciting. He's done a nice job.
Speaking of and one more question of that element of surprise, is that now gone? In terms of what teams might be expecting of him, because maybe they didn't see all that much of him, and now it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. PJ's a good football player. I'm not sure what anybody else thinks of him. I just know what we see in there. We felt good about the room when we entered training camp. It's I just think it shows you the type of guy he is. He's a fighter. He loves to play. I think the players love to play with him and play around him. He brings a lot of juice and a lot of energy to it, and he's got that confidence about him.
Was healthy again after getting back from being nicked up in practice and stuff. What did you need to see from him to give him the opportunities on the field to get snaps and things like that? What did you need to see for him to get back?
Yeah, we just had to keep working them in, and usually those things take care of themselves over the long run. So there was nothing that he needed to prove to anybody. He just needed to keep working himself back in.
Did having PJ at quarterback sort of, kind of encourage, like, oh, well, they have the chemistry, let's find some more packages for him?
No, that just kind of happened. Yeah.
How would you describe Terrace as a ball winner?
Say that one more time.
How would you describe Terrace as a ball winner?
A ball winner.
Should I keep describing
Yeah,
that?
explain that to me just a little bit more so I don't mess that one up.
No, you're good, brother.
I'm a little slow, so bear
Yeah,
with
me
me.
too, it's early. When he's thrown a 50-50 ball, what about his abilities gives him a good chance of coming out of the
Yeah,
ball?
we have a lot of confidence in him that way. Now, it hasn't always gone his way. He's had some more down the field where he's had some success with in the red zone. I had a couple opportunities last game, and we expect him to make those plays, and he's working to make them, and he will make them in the future. But we have a lot of confidence that way. That's the way he's built. He's a big guy, he's a physical guy, and big men have to play big in this league. And then sometimes they need some reps at that before they get that going. But we have confidence that he can go do that for us.
What do you see as the key this week?
The key this week, number one is you got to take care of the football this week, right? They're a defense that has they have a lot of scheme, and they're well coached. So we got to make sure we know what we're blocking, right? We got to be on the same page that way. Make sure we know what we're seeing on the secondary, and make good decisions. And it's always good to run the ball. That helps.
Speaking of taking care of the ball, the interception before half, is that a freak play? Like, how impressive was that play first and last?
Yeah, that was a combination of a couple different things. Everyone's looking to blame people for it, but there were probably about 3 or 4 things that factored into that play, and they're all within our control, and that's something that we got to clean up.
You've had 2 shorter quarterbacks this year playing. Typically with guys like a shorter stature, the middle of the field sometimes gets ignored. Do you think that's the case right now with like the F and Y spots being more just blockers or runners, or is that part of just how you develop your scheme?
I think, it depends on what you're seeing every week, right? So I think that plays a part into it. We've been running the ball quite a bit, so those guys are doing a lot of blocking. But we're certainly not looking to ignore the middle of the field. That's just the way the games have gone at this point.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.